Okay, guys, here you go. I want to show you the blackbird. Look at this scrawny fellow. He's one of the ones who's been very henpecked over the course of the summer. And here we've got a pigeon who thinks he's going to get something, and he just is really bossy. And then we've got this other blackbird. Now, often when I come into my study in the morning, there might be 5 blackbirds all just sitting on the roof, waiting. I'm going to shut the window now, otherwise the pigeon is going to get everything. And I'm going to turn this around now. So there's a couple of people have said to me, I want to see the blackbird. Now you've seen the blackbird. It's true, they really are there. So welcome, gate 32, and we are in the first line, which is called conservation. So the first line, it is a line of introspection. It is the most conservative of all of these lines, and it is setting the foundation for the hexagram, of course. When the introspection is missing, failure can happen. The failure will be there in the continuity. This is not good. The fear is that once you see that change is inevitable, this is, the channel of being driven, there is this enormous urge just to change. Now you can see change is coming, so let's get on with it. Let's do it. Oh, but change for change's sake is not what this gate is about. One has to be careful with this. It is intended to be very conservative. It is the foundation of the tribe's success. The material success in the tribe is, okay, change is inevitable, but let's keep our continuity. Let's look after our resources. In the exaltation, we have a life-sustaining respect and attention to all aspects of a process. The potential to develop the instinct through detailed attention to a process. This is the ideal of the introspective field. It is saying, yes, change is inevitable, but I will make sure that I have all the details before I get involved with that change and leave behind tradition. The tribe is very traditional, very traditional. Think about the heading over the line. It says the only thing which endures is change. One of the things for a 32 is that it has to deal with change, and it doesn't like change. Change will always come, and the only thing it can do is pay attention to its process and not worry about when or if that change will come or how it will materialize. In the detriment, we have the uncontrollable urge to bypass essentials, which inevitably leads to the disruption of continuity, the fear of lack of potential, and the corresponding lack of ambition. Continuity is a word that you're going to hear a lot as we go through this gate. Think about the responsibilities that are inherent in the tribal circuitry. It's not simply a matter of the sexuality or the food. That's over on the solar plexus side. It's not simply about the capacity to produce children or to make a marriage bond and an agreement with someone, because beyond that point, it's going to be necessary to be able to nurture the child. It's going to be necessary to provide for the family, to be able to look after the material needs. All of this leads to the deep material density of tribal life. You've got to have the resources. So the first thing to see about the foundation here is that you cannot get the resources unless you're paying attention to your process. And in paying attention to your process, you have to be very conservative. In other words, you're not open and looking for another kind of process. This is quite a narrow focus here. Take the fashion industry. Let's look at a scenario within the fashion industry to illustrate this. Imagine that everybody is running around in the same kind of clothes, and then all of a sudden the style changes. The 32 cannot pay any attention to that, even if they're in the clothing business and they're manufacturing the clothes that are the ones going out of style. They will stay with that process until either they go bankrupt or that style comes back into fashion. Now, this is a gate of fear. The 32nd gate is afraid of failure. And that's why there's a need for continuity. And in most cases, continuity brings success. In most cases. It's so important to think about what the 32 does in terms of our financial structure. The 54 is a worker on the factory floor that wants to be recognized for their ability so they can rise up. The 32 is the financial manager of the business. The 32 decides whether that worker is actually worth more money, if they might be greater value in another person, or if that worker actually needs to be in a different position. Because that's the gift that the 32 can have, to instinctively recognize whether there is any value in that ambition. If they have, they pay attention to the continuity, then it works. They keep that worker and they nurture that worker, they support that worker, and then that worker becomes part of the continuity of the business. The moment that you become concerned that that new style that everybody seems to be wearing and is interested in, and you start, trying to do that, trying to get involved in changing your fashion styles, that's the moment you're likely to wipe out everything that you've done. It can do that really quickly. But you stay with your detail and you stay with your process, then things will work. The 32 is splenic. We know very well that the splenic system is going to operate existentially, but how it operates existentially is going to be determined by type. So the trusting and relying on the 32 is going to be dependent on that definition. Only then can it operate properly. Because it's the tribe, and because it's inherently conservative, if you jump over the details, you will not be able to make the transition from what was old to what can be new. There will be something missing, and you will end up with all kinds of problems associated with that. Detail is essential to the tribe. Ra gave the example of a tribe that is discovered in the middle of the Amazon, and we rock up and we give them frying pans and mirrors and the internet. We bring them this whole leap in their culture, a whole transformation in their culture. But all those details between where they were and now where we've dragged them up to, all that detail is missing. There's no continuity for them, and they lose their culture. They jump into a new culture without the ability to bring their own culture along and allow it to mature and integrate with new technology and new input. When you're looking at the ego circuit, you are looking at two streams. We have the emotional stream, the stream of sensitivity from the 19 in the root, going to the 49 and then the 3740. This is all about the communal life, the community. Communal life is looking for initiation, which it finds through the 5125, which goes from the ego to the G center. The stream of instinct here on the other side, we have a natural flow that takes place. But this is not about communal life, but life in the corporate culture. This is about the work structure. Who is working with whom and how we work together is organized in this stream. It begins, actually, if you look at the 45th gate at the top in the throat center, this is the owner of the company. The egoic 21st gate is the president. The 26th gate also in the ego, that's the salesman or the head of sales. Then the splenic 44 is the personnel manager. The 32, the financial officer, and then the 54 in the root, providing the fuel for the ambition of this whole process. But it's also the bottom of the ladder because it's the marrying maiden who wants to be the CEO. They want to be the owner of the company. So this is the progress that is made up through here. So the 32, it decides whether money is spent or not. It holds the purse strings. It's just, what's the money going to be spent on? They have a great deal of power because of that. Because below the financial manager are all of these people in the 54 who try to climb up the corporate ladder. All those marrying maidens who want to get up to the top. 54s are always trying to be familiar with 32s. And the 32s are always in a situation where the marrying maidens with their ambition are trying to get the financial officer to invest in things so that the transformation and the change can take place. Grounding comes in the 42, gate 42 in the sacral center. And the first line is called diversification. Gate 42 is a format energy. It's the format energy of cycles for the collective abstract circuit. So having this in your chart means that cycles are a part of your experience. And whilst it's in the transit, we're all going to have this as part of our experience. And it's about paying attention to the beginnings, the middles and endings of things. The 42 particularly is about endings. You had enough growth and now things have to stop. The flavor of a format energy affects the rest of the chart. It's quite funny that the conservatism of the 32 is supported by the diversification of the 42. That's what's going to help you grow, though. Yeah. And I guess that if diversification comes through strategy and authority, then it's fine. You can start making other pieces of clothing. The end result will be correct. But always remember with the 32 that there is no change for change's sake. Venus moved into gate 14 this morning at 7:24. This is the gate of power, skills, possession in great measure. This is the cart that is heaped with goods, a show of wealth, and the accumulation of material resources. Resources again. It's nice how all of these things come together. Gate 14 is an individual gate. It's looking up from the sacral to gate 2 in the G center. This channel can fuel a mutative direction and empower others in their movement too. Is there a value in material resources? Or maybe you find more value in having an esoteric direction. Have you ever explored the idea of value? Looked at what you hold dear? Look at your personality Venus in your chart, and this gives you an idea of what you are designed to value. And it can also show you where people who don't hold the same values of you can really tick you off. It's an interesting activation to pay attention to. So we still have a channel between Mars and the North Node. This is the 1762, the channel of acceptance, the design of an organizational being. It's a logical collective gate channel, even running between the throat and the ajna. And it's where logical opinions are based in fact and in details, and they can make their way out to the collective where they will be accepted or not. The moon has been in the solar plexus gate 49 since 2:14 this morning. Revolution and sacrifice and fear of rejection. It moves into gate 30 at 11:44, another solar plexus activation. This is the gate of feelings, or recognition of feelings, actually. The moon is all about solar plexus gates today. Gate 30 can be intense. It's the clinging fire of desire. It's not a particularly mellow gate. Indeed, it holds markers for burnout. The fourth line is called burnout. This is part of the stream of feelings in the human experiential way. It's a gate of the fates. There can be a thirst for destiny, a hunger for change. Can we hold experience without expectation? Because as soon as we start to have an expectation around our experience and we make our plans around an experience, the fates step in and the gods laugh. 55. Gate 55 is next at 21:07. This is the gate of the spirit, the gate of abundance. Of course, it's a solar plexus gate. It's in individuality. There is the emotional wave. There is the possibility of melancholy. When it comes to the emotional wave and to melancholy as well, we can remember that it's just chemistry. It's just a body chemistry. When we start to label our emotions or our melancholy, when we try to attach a reason to them, to explain why we feel the way we do, we're not honoring the feeling. When melancholy and the wave are allowed just to pass through without identification, without attachment, they don't tend to last so long. They truly become just like the weather. Some storms stay around longer than others, but they're still storms that will pass, and they're not personal. And it's the same for this emotional solar plex, for any of the waves, and for the melancholy. Now, I speak from experience here. I have both a defined solar plexus and gate 55. And it's really hard when somebody wants to know, why are you feeling so low? I don't know, I just am. It's just the chemistry of the day or the moment, even, because it can move really quickly. So this is also something to be aware of. Are we asking for reasons for other people? I do that. I find myself asking someone, "Oh, what's wrong?" you know, no. Yeah, because I know how it feels when I get it back the other way. Gate 37 is next at 6:24 tomorrow morning. It's another gate I have in my only channel. This is the gate of the family and of friendship. And it's the gate of the mouth. It loves to feed people. Very social. It's about as social as the tribe gets, really. Always organizing dinner parties and tea parties or any kind of parties, as long as there's food. The friendship offered by this gate is never free of an underlying bargain. No, it's always seeking loyalty. And the one sure way of falling out with a 37 is to step on the loyalty somehow. Break the bargain, step on the loyalty. Not good, really not good. That's really going to mess things up. If you shake hands with a 37, this is a way that they can tell a lot about you. It's the stream of touch, it's very sensitive. And it always used to be the way, didn't it? Sealing a bargain was the handshake. So it's a very powerful marker for us in many ways. So that's the first line in gate 37. No, God damn it, I was doing so well. The first line in gate 32. Yep, okay, on a roll. I'll be back with a second line, probably in gate 32 if we're lucky, tomorrow. Until then, have a lovely day, evening, wherever you are in your timeline, and go gently. Bye bye for now.